Hello everyone and welcome to DBF1. It is season 7 for the second night of 10 this season. We've got two great races coming your way. We've got short qualifying with Alistair Bain leading the way with a 42.5 around Spa here in Belgium. Casper on his way to looking like he can beat that lap time. He is currently purple through sector 1. We will watch the rest of Casper's lap as we'll quickly run through the top 10 of the championship after last week. Jenga Boy picked up the opening win in Japan. CJH won the reverse grid race in Catalonia in the second race of the night. So it's CJH that leads the way in the championship, 34 points to his name. Jenga Boy in second on 25, who has a qualifying ban tonight for the qualifying session race. Chris Johnson, an unlikely driver in P2 on 22 points, and Acorn in third on 21 with Novel Darky and Lewis Craig, and Jess Kames 5th, 6th and 7th all on 19 points. Scottish Goat in 8th on 18 points, then it's Tony in 9th on 17, and then it's ERT Jordan in 10th place on 15. It's McLaren that lead the way in the constructors early doors as Casper takes pole position by around about 2.5 tenths of a second. Quick lap from the reserve driver. We'll see, is anyone else looking like they're going to set a lap time? Is Tony on a lap? No. We'll see, it's Jess the furthest driver around on a night lap. No, one of the McLarens. Yes, Chris. We'll watch Chris in his chrome McLaren P2. It was a McLaren 1-2 last time out in Spain. Can they repeat that? They'll need to set lap time. CGH leading the championship on 34 points. Chris Johnson is third in the championship on 22. It's been a good start from then, and we'll watch Chris on his lap in a few moments. And so the wheel's been spun for race 2. Race 2 is obviously a mystery race. The top 14 of this race will be reverse grid, and that race will be Austin, Texas, the circuit of America, as we are going to COTA for round 4 of the season. The drivers didn't know that until the stream name popped up on their YouTube. As Chris now begins his first flying lap around Spa, we'll see how quick of a lap time the McLaren can set. Only managed P10 in race 1 last week around Japan. Up the hill he comes now onto the Camel Straight. He'll open up the DRS, use a lot of that battery, you'd imagine, down this part of the circuit. Up into a very, very late braking zone, heavy on the brakes, swing the car right, swing it left, and the McLaren just flying through the first sector there. Wonderful so far from Chris. Might not be challenging the front row or maybe even the second row, but it's looking smooth so far from Chris Johnson. One of the drivers that's sneaking his way up the pecking order in races done in Dive Bomb. 34 races to his name over 2 seasons, and then 4 races this season. Getting close to becoming close to the top 2 now. Obviously, myself and 44 is in third. Alistair Bain, now he's returned, is going to start creeping away. Baza is only 12 away now after competing in tonight's race, and then at COTA will be 11 away from 100. The only driver over 50, and the only driver to even be close to 100 Grand Prix. But Chris now coming through the final part of this lap as we're on board. He swings it left, doesn't use any of the curb on the right hand side. He'll brake as late as he possibly can into the bus stop chicane. Use all the curb he can possibly use on the inside there. Get on the throttle as early as he possibly can. Open the DRS, doesn't help too much. 7th place from Chris. Not too bad for a qualifying lap from him, and I believe there's some drivers coming up behind him now. I think Acorn's next to cross the line. I think Jess might have just beaten Lewis there, or she's just improved in that time. I think she's improved by a 10th. Her teammate, what can Acorn do? He was in the media box this week. He's up into 4th. It's an all Red Bull second row. Lewis Craig, though, is he going to improve? Up onto the second row again. He's P3 now. That's him into the 42s, setting the benchmark. Jess is just gone, I believe. Gamer James has just popped up into 6th, 7th place now, as Daniel Pierwheelnut, who had a poor week last week, only scoring 8 points over the 2 races after his move to Aston Martin, up into 5th place now. That battle between the Astons and the Red Bulls looking very spicy early on in the season. Scottish Goat now. Darky's just popped up into 3rd there. We got just seen that at the end on the left hand side. And Alistair Bain goes provisional pole again. Fantastic time from Alistair. He's giving Casper a real run for his money. Casper obviously only reserving this week. We'll see about a full-time seat if the pace is there. And well, if Alistair's setting lap times like that, if he cannot disconnect tonight like he did in the Europe versus Brazil showdown last night and DBF1 last week, Alistair on for a great result here. Obviously the season-free champion. Can he be the only driver to win 2 championships? CGH is going to try battle him on that. Alistair Bain though, 0 points scored in last week, and Scottish Gold, 1 second of improvement here. Put him around about 7th or 8th, splitting James and Acorn. He'll be wanting a bit more improvement in that final sector if he can. He's lost all of his deployment though, so it's just whatever package the Haas team can give him. The Ferrari engine in the back of the Haas, what will it be? Not using as much curb as Chris. Can he beat Chris though? You'd imagine he would with the times he was setting, and it's only 8th place, so he's ahead of James and Chris as Chris drops down to 10th now. Scottish got the win the Haas. Good season at the Ferrari last year, but he's going to be hoping for higher up the order than that. Is anyone on a flyer here? I don't believe so. I think Kaya is on an outlap, and he's the only driver still to go. And we're hearing that it is mixed conditions for the Grand Prix. So potential for some rain. Might stay dry. You just have to wait and see. As we get the stream up in the chats and on the Twitter. And we'll see what Kaya can do down in 13th place. Kaya obviously in Dive Bomb 2. Scored 5 points in Dive Bomb 2 last week. Tony and Chris Johnson leading the way with a race victory each in the Dive Bomb 2 series. 14 points scored for them. They'll be looking to battle each other. And if you look at Dive Bomb 2, you've got Chris, James, Tony, Baza and Kaya all in order. So you just know that that is the championship this season that they are going to be fighting for. As Kaya comes round the final corner now, he'll start probably his final go here in qualifying. I can't see the time on the left hand side because of the yellow flag in sector 3. But we'll see now what can Kaya do on the run up to Radion and El Rouge and onto the Camel Straight. We're on board with the Williams. It looks pretty planted, not easy up the hill though for Kaya, but it looked planted enough, and we'll see what his split one time will be when he gets there in about 1 second. Not quite finding any time. It's looking okay though for Kaya to maybe try and find some time. He's got a big gap to Baza ahead of him in 12th, around about 8/10 of a second, so he needs a massive improvement to mount a challenge. We've got 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this qualifying, so drivers are going to start peeling out for their outlaps, and we could have some traffic and some Monza style qualifying in the next few moments. But it's all about Kaya now. Car number 2 in the Williams, him and Jordan running different liveries, which they can do as the game gives Williams, McLaren and Red Bull, and I believe Haas as well, all have different liveries. And then when Jenga Boy races, we'll have to check if he's using. And Kaya, 8/10 of improvement there in the second sector. So this is a quick lap for Kaya, and it might be that he moves up a place or two in the running here. Can he sneak that Williams into the top 10 and maybe put the pressure on James, Chris and Tony and Baza that they have to set a quicker lap, or they're going to be behind Kaya on the grid for the race start? He doesn't use much of the exit track there, and what will it be? Lost a lot of time in that final sector to Kaya. It's a big improvement of 4/10 of a second, but not enough to mount a challenge. Here comes Casper now, not improving through sector 1. Using overtake down the hill now towards Puon. Uses flat out goes Casper. Overtake on in that kick cyber. Such bravery from car 72. Obviously 5 race wins out of 6 races for the Finnish driver. Arguably the quickest driver we've ever had. Maybe Damien Bean will have something to say about that. But he's been so fast when he's been here, Casper. And it's purple, 1.5 tenths improvement He's going to take provisional pole off Alistair here, and Alistair's going to have to set an even quicker lap time, probably in the 1:43, if he wants any opportunity of pole position here, Alistair. But this is all about Casper on the run up now to the bus stop chicane. Doesn't use too much curb on entry, but uses it all on the exit curb there. Will it be pole position for Casper? No, it's not. He didn't improve enough to make it pole position. Is it, who's next closest to crossing the line? We'll have a look. Kaya's not going. Is it Jordan? It might be Jordan that's next to cross the line. The Haas's. No, I think it's Baza or maybe Scottish Goat. Scottish Goat's on a night lap. It's Baza up next then. 5/10 up is the Haas driver. In the Hall of Fame for his racing adequate. Finally won one Grand Prix in Spain last season. Sorry, season 5 it was the race win. Feels like so long ago. What will it be here in qualifying for Baza? Is it enough for the top 10? Only just. It's just enough improvement. And will Jordan be able to spoil the Haas driver's party? He's improving by 4.6 seconds. Surely Jordan is going to creep into the top 10 with that lap time, you'd imagine. Into 8th place for Jordan. Not quite the improvement he'd like, but improvement enough. Now it's James. Up, no, it might be Alistair up next, is it? Yeah, Alistair up next. He's finding time through the first two sectors. Can he improve on that pole time? It's only provisional at the moment, but without Casper improving enough, is this the pole lap from Alistair Bain 06? The season 3 champion improves again. Only just, though, from Alistair. Darky might be the only one that can challenge him. Tony's just moved up into 10th place at the end there. I think actually CJH is going to be close. Chris Johnson might be finding time, but he might be holding up a Red Bull behind him. What Red Bull was that? Was that, no, it was Jess that was maybe being held up, and she's only going to manage 5th place. Was she held up in that place? Darky goes provisional pole. Oh, what a lap time that is. A 42.0. The two greatest qualifiers in dive bomb. Can't Acorn though spoil the party? Lewis is not improving. CGH is 4th. Acorn is 7th. Casper can't improve. It's all down to Scottish Goat now, and he's not finding any time. That is qualifying over, and the two greatest qualifying drivers we have to offer, Darky, Alistair Bain, the only two to ever be in double-digit poles, the only two that can mount a challenge over one lap and say they're the greatest, and it is the man that leads the way, Darky, that gets pole position here at Spa, and then extends his pole position record to another pole over Alistair. What a lap time that was from Darky. We didn't see it, but we thought Alistair had it wrapped up when Casper couldn't improve. And Darky at the end stole it. Over one lap, those two are quick enough to mount a challenge to Casper here. Can they do it over 15 laps in mixed conditions? We're expecting it's Darky on pole. Alistair in 2nd place. Casper going to be 3rd. CJH sneaked into 4th there at the end with Lewis Craig 5th. Jess only managing 6th with her teammate Acorn in 7th. Daniel P. Whelan at 8th. Jordan in 9th. Scottish got 10th with Tony in 11th, James 12th, Baza 13th place, and we'll finish the rundown of the qualifying results when we get there. Jess may be disappointed with Chris. It looked like she was getting held up, and we'll have to wait and see what is said later on. But we got to Chris Johnson in 14th, Dark Shadow 15th, Ivan in 16th, Jenga Boy, who had the qualifying ban, will start last. And we're believing Jess was actually on a massive improvement. And Wells obviously came up with the traffic, and she was mounting a challenge for maybe pole. Disappointing for Jess, but she knows she has the pace. Can she overcome the challenges? And that top 7 is just incredible. Top 8, 9, 10 even. Just incredible. The drivers we've got in the division mounting challenges, making everyone practice to get better, pushing each other to the limit. Casper coming back for his one of 3 reserve performances, not taking pole, which probably would have been expected. him to get pole position. No qualifying points on offer. Drivers aren't allowed to ready up on the grid until Baza goes. And if you do, you will get a 4-place grid drop come the end of the race. So if you finish first, but you readied up before Baza, you are going to finish 5th place, I'm afraid. So don't do it. It's not worth it, and there's no excuse for it. You have to wait until Baza gives the go-ahead. And with tricky conditions coming, it looks dry for the moment. How long will it be dry for? We'll have to wait and see. The action around Spa is always being crazy in Dive Bomb F1, and we have a little bit of Dive Bomb history around Spa. The first ever Dive Bomb race, it was only pre-season for Season 1 on F1 2019, was actually here at Spa, where Corey Dalton picked up the win. Obviously wasn't on the history list, but it is one we remember very well indeed, obviously, because it's just part of the first ever race we ever set up and did. It wasn't officially in Season 1 or 2, but it was in Season 3, where Hamble picked up the win, and then it missed out in Season 4. It didn't make the grid back when we only did the 12 races. But in Season 5, it made the return where Jordan picked up his win, his maiden win in Dive Bomb, and then last season it was the second round of the season where Hugo Skywalker picked up the win there in his only Dive Bomb win. On his only Dive Bomb night, he got a third and a first, and it's arguably maybe only Casper can mount a challenge to the best night of Dive Bomb. But we're on the grid now for Season 7. It's round number 3. It's Darky or Alistair off the line. Away we go in Spa, 15 laps coming your way. Darky got away well, Alistair never. Casper and CJH going to sneak up the inside. CJH might have got just up the inside there. Oh, and see, Casper and Lewis are off. They're in the gravel, they've made contact. But Darky leads from CJH, from Alistair Bain. Then it's Acorn, Scottish Goat and Jess. Scottish Goat with a fantastic start at 4 places. And when the race settles down, we'll be able to run through the rest of the field. CJH now looking to make a move for the lead. It's 4th to 1st in one sector for the defending champion. He is wanting that crown to stay in his pocket. CJH leads lap 1, Darky in second, Alistair Bain dropped down to third, but CJH on the softs, maybe why he got such a quick start. Acorn, fantastic start, at 3 places, into 4th, Scottish Goat at 5 places now, into 5th place, Jess has stayed in 6th, Tony is down in 7th, up in 7th place, James as well up in 8th, Jordan's dropped a place to 9th, Chris has picked up a few places, as has Baza. Jenga Boy all the way up into 12th in that beautiful livery. We mentioned in qualifying it would be great, and it is indeed. Dark Shadow, 13th. Daniel and Lewis Craig are down the order massively. Ivan Tonzik is down in 16th. Casper all the way down in 17th. The only saving grace for him is that he is on the softs and can go hards to the end now. And well, it looked like Casper was trying to make the move on Darky. CJH went down his inside, which CJH was entitled to do so. That meant that Casper had to stay around the outside of him, and Lewis Craig was just there, and it was kind of just a passenger situation where they both ended up in the gravel. And now anyone can win this race. Darky not quite close enough to CJH to mount a challenge, but Alistair keeping them honest as well. Acorn's dropped a bit. He's 2.2 behind now, keeping Scottish Goat and his teammate just in sight. Tony, fantastic start for Tony and the Ferrari. The Ferrari's fantastic opening round so far for them. Lewis Craig's picked up the place on Kaya. Up the hill we go now. We're on board with Tony. Is he seen the action further ahead? No, it's going to be Jess that's seen the action because her teammate is under immense pressure from the Haas of Scottish Goat. Is this now the move for P4? Acorn is trying to defend it. Scottish Goat kind of forced them off a wee bit there. Acorn's going to drop 2 places, and that might allow Tony to sneak up his inside. It does. Tony now ahead of Acorn. Acorn's got damage. And well, it might have been that it was Scottish Goat's corner, or it might have been that he had to yield and give Acorn the position back. He's obviously not going to do that now. Acorn's dropped so many places and damage, and that could be a stewards incident later on. Alistair now has overtaken Darky on Puon, and is this the race now where Alistair can get his foot down? And with being 34 points behind CJH coming into this race, he really needs a race win. Cut that gap by 7 points if CJ is going to come second. The soft's going to be the working tyre at the moment, but it's how long they last. And Alistair Bain's pace is just so quick, even on those mediums. When he's in the groove, it's very hard to defeat. Even in race pace, there goes Alistair looking. CJ goes defensive. Alistair thinks better of it. He's got to watch his wing mirrors though, because Darky's in there as well, and it looks like Acorn's dropping further places. I think he needs to come into the pits for a new wing. He's decided to stay out. Alistair sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Lewis Craig moving up places now. He is up into 13th, and I think maybe Lewis Craig now up around the outside, of all these drivers battling away. This is what Lewis's problem was last time out in Spa, and here comes Alistair though, trying to make a move on CJH. He'll have the advantage of DRS. CJ kind of a sitting duck here now, and well, if you're CJH on the softs, don't make those tyres explode. You want to keep them tyres going as long as you can in this stint to get on the mediums. Stick with Alistair in his DRS if you can. Defend from Darky. You got a big gap to Scottish Goat, 3.2 all the way back to him. And well, Lewis Craig, I was just mentioning Lewis Craig in Spain, the reverse race, he was down the order after coming third in Japan, and then he couldn't get through the traffic. He was ahead of the traffic in this race, and was obviously the incident with Casper now means that he's down the field. He's cutting through them, but it's just causing him a bit of problems, and we'll get the tyres up once we begin lap 4, once we start thinking of pit stops. The tyre wear not the best around Belgium, so CJH on that soft compound going to have to start thinking about pit stops. He's already dropped 1.1 now, 1.2 behind Alistair. Alistair starting to peel away on those mediums. If Darky wants a chance at winning this race, he's only ever won races from pole, remember. He needs to do an overtake on CJ in the next few moments now. Jordan closing the gap up to Tony. Tony's close to Jess, but Jess is thinking about a move on Scottish Goat. Scottish Goat made a pass on her teammate, cost him some positions, and Tony's gone into the back of Jess there as Alistair sets up another fastest lap. Hopefully that's not rear wing damage for Jess. Jenga Boy, who, if I remember correctly, in Belgium last season was struggling at the beginning. He was down in 8th or 9th in qualifying, ended up coming 3rd. This is sort of the race that he's done well in, and if he was at the front at the beginning, he might be winning the races, but it's just not been for him. But he started in 17th, he's up into 8th, and Darky's past CJH now for 2nd. Can Jenga Boy get past Jordan? And Tony also, there could be 4 wide here. They need to think about it carefully. Tony is looking to make a move on Jess, and I just think Tony should have backed out there maybe. Hopefully he's dropped down the order to 11th. I don't really think Jess had much she could do about that. Just how late the move was made by Tony from the bird's eye view that we had on a chopper cam, but obviously we'll see the POVs later. And I just think Jess, she didn't really do anything wrong from the view we had, and we only seen it once, so we'll see it again later on. Darky got past CJH for 2nd on the Kemmel Straight. Lewis Craig's past Acorn, and Acorn is struggling with that end plate missing on his Red Bull. And he might just need to come into the pits, or he's trying to get that tyres to the distance where he can stop and go to the end. On mediums, so yeah, he doesn't really want to go into the hards. Baza and Daniel Pibuna started on hards. CJH the only driver in the top 7, Chris as well. The McLaren's doing the same strategy. And we'll get the positions gained. Alistair up 1, Scottish Goat up 6, Jordan up 3, Chris up 6, up 5 now as Lewis overtakes. Jenga Boy up 10, so it's been a good race for some drivers. And Lewis actually struggling to get past Chris, because Chris got back past him there. Casper into the pits now, that's the first. He was on the softs, maybe calling it a day on those tyres. And I think the tyres are gone as Tony passes Acorn into the gravel there. And maybe a bit of love tapping between the two. As we'll see now, Jess Games, DRS active. Can she close the gap now and get ahead of Scottish Goat? The same move that Scottish Goat did in her teammate. Jess leaves a bit more room. Scottish Goat doesn't have to go wide like Deck did. And Jess did the move clean. and up into 4th place. 12 championship points coming Jess Games' way, and she's extending her lead over Lewis. Can she mount a challenge for the championship? And well, if she can get close to CJH, she's only losing 3 points. She'll be the closest challenger come the end of the race 3 of 20 that we have. Lewis Craig did get ahead of Chris, and he's within a second of Jenga Boy. Jenga Boy 2.7 now behind Jordan, so I think he's had some contact. He's lost an end plate. Darky's out. Safety car, surely. Oh, massive crash from Darky. He's in the touched the curb on the left hand side, and it's just spun him round, and he's gone into the wall there. And Darky, someone that is up there in the championship this season, 19 points. He's not that far behind, and well, that's just cost him massively. He was in second place, coasting away, and he's just lapsing concentration. Alistair Bain and the rest of the crew going to come into the pits now. This is actually pretty good for CJ. He's going to go on to the mediums. We'll check quickly what Alistair's on to. Hards. Yeah, not what Alistair would have liked. So medium and hards to the end. Alistair's pit strategy would have most likely have been mediums to softs, and this has forced his hand. CJH has the advantage of he can go now to the end on the medium compound. Daniel Pibion that's staying out on his hards. Jess is in. Oh, and Casper's got a penalty for speeding under the safety car. Jess on the hards. Scottish Goat on the hards. Jordan on the hards. Ivan stayed out. Or did Ivan come in? Yeah, Ivan stayed out in the softs. Lewis Craig hards until the end. Chris Johnson mediums. Tony hards. Jenga Boy hards. Casper mediums but has a drive-through to serve. Baza mediums. James hards. Kaya mediums. And Acorn hards. He would have been able to change that wing, you'd imagine now. Yeah, so Acorn down the order, but he'll be able to get going again now he's got no damage. He has some good pace, so hopefully he can climb back up. And Baza, the only penalty in the session, 3 seconds. Casper's a drive-through for speeding under yellow flags. And the unfortunate thing with that for Casper is if he doesn't serve it within 3 laps, he'll be disqualified, so it can't be removed afterwards. Dive bomb's unless it's a penalty that happens at the end of the race, it cannot be removed. So the speeding in the pit lane penalty can be removed if you don't serve it. So if you don't serve your speeding penalty to the end, and it was found out you weren't speeding the pit lane because Codemasters are a bit dodgy, it can be removed. It has been removed for Luca Giapelli in the past. It's been removed for Jake Warrior in the past. But this one for Casper, unfortunately, he will have to serve or will be disqualified by the game, so it cannot be removed, unfortunately. And it was just one of those things. Unlucky for Casper, and not gone his way tonight. The incident with Lewis on lap 1, whether it was a racing incident or a driver at fault, we'll have to wait and see. Race turn 1, lap 1, you usually get away with a bit more, as long as it's not cynical. But yeah, not gone Casper's way tonight, and you'll have to refocus for COTA. And the only good thing for Casper really is that the top 14 get reversed. So at the moment, he's starting 3rd place with Baza and James on the front row, and Jenga Boy in 4th for the reverse race might be able to give him a challenge. That's the only upside to Casper being down there with Jenga Boy, is Jenga Boy might be able to challenge him. Obviously Alistair, CJ Daniel are all going to be 14th, 15th as Ivan comes into the pits on his softs. He's going to be last, but he would have been last regardless. Well, he probably could have actually boxed last lap. Probably a lapse in judgment there from Kick, but they'll not be too fussed about it. They're going to drop down the order as them. Acorn and James played it smart here, though. They're going back onto the mediums. Yeah, so they did 1 lap on the hards. They're last place anyway. They've done 1 lap on hards and are going to go back onto the mediums when they've already been on the mediums. So they've done the 2 tyre compounds, and then they can go to the end on the quickest tyre. The likes of CJ and CJ's on the quick tyre, but Alistair and Jess can't do that because in the track position. But Gamer James and Acorn, they were 15th and 16th anyway. So this gives them an advantage on the tyre deficit at the moment when we get going. like CGH will have over Alistair. But eventually that tyre deficit will fade. So I imagine the safety car will be in this lap. Lap 7 of 15. It'll be 8 of 15 once we get going. And we'll have 8 more laps once we do begin racing to the finish. All drivers have stopped. Casper to serve a drive-through. Going to be a fascinating end to the race. You've got Daniel Piwilna who's not stopped. How much is he going to hold up the drivers behind? CGH on the quicker medium compared to Alistair's hards. But Alistair's hards are going to be better towards the end of the race. And the safety car's coming in. Alistair, when it was medium to soft, had the tyre advantage. But those hards are going to be difficult to warm up, especially since he boxed under safety car. So he's going to have no warm up in those tyres. But it's a complete reset. Fresh rubber, fresh battery, no DRS for 2 laps. We've got 8 laps to the finish, ladies and gentlemen, around here in Belgium. Don't go anywhere, you don't want to miss this. CJH and Alistair, we've not seen them really battle on track match. We've seen them battle in championships, but it never seems to be them two fighting each other. Is this the first time we'll see Alistair versus CJ for the race win? When will Alistair decide to go? We're on board with the McLaren for when we go racing. Alistair's decided to go now, and CJ has tried to jump him, but he's not got enough there at the moment. Oh, down into turn 1. There he goes, late on the brakes. He goes very deep, and Alistair does the switcheroo and gets back ahead. CJH tried to do what he did to Darky at turn 1. He went far too deep this time. Alistair sailed back down the inside, but that might give CJ a run up down the Kemmel straight. It does. CJH leads the way from Alistair. Alistair trying to watch because he's got the Aston all over his rear wing and he's trying to get back ahead but is not able to do so. CJH leads. What a restart from the pair of them. We've got battles further back. It's Tony and Lewis. Looks like Lewis is one out in that battle for now, as Casper and Tony is it battling away, and Tony's got ahead of Casper and now ahead of Lewis, and now Casper trying to get ahead of Lewis as well. They've had contact earlier in the race. He's got to serve a drive through. Lewis going to push Casper wide this time, and Casper's in the gravel. And well, that might have been naughty from Lewis this time, and it was naughty from Casper in lap 1, and they've had a bit of argy-bargy to each other. Casper's got to serve a drive through anyway. And well, Alistair's lost touch with CJH already. 1.7 the gap. And CJ knows he needs to use this life that he's got. He knows Alistair's quick. And when Alistair has the tyre deficit, he's a lot quicker than CJ. But it's in CJ's hands at the moment. It will then turn into Alistair's hands. But he just needs to try and hang on to CJ's basically 2 seconds now. Daniel P. on that, not stopped, not losing time to Alistair. Jess is up there as well for a podium. Scottish Goat fighting for a podium as well. Chris Johnson, by the way, P11 in race 1, P2 in race 3. He's on for a net P5 and could get another podium here. And this could be a fantastic start to the season for Chris. Someone that struggled last season, but doing well this season. He was obviously in the championship fight come the last race of the season last time out. But then we'll have to wait and see what happens this season. Daniel now is right on the back of Alistair. I don't think Daniel stopped here, and he's on course for P2 on worn rubber. Alistair struggling here in the second stint of this race. Jenga Boy and Lewis Craig battling away now. Jenga Boy's had some contact with Lewis. Lewis in the wars tonight around Spa. Jenga Boy struggling to get front end grip on that car. And is this sign of desperation in week 2 for Lewis? He thinks his title hopes have flopped away after not winning the title last season. Missing 4 weeks of 10 last year. He doesn't think that he's got the pace to win this season, and going off early performances, you'd have to agree. But Lewis, someone you expect to win Grand Prix, just struggling in this early phase of the season. We'll keep an eye and see if he can find some pace. But obviously CJH finished 8th last week and won the second race, so Lewis might be thinking about that. Daniel P. hasn't stopped. They're 4 seconds adrift of CJH here. The defending champion. We have never had a two-time champion in dive bomb. We've had 6 seasons, 6 champions. We've never had someone start off a defence as well as CJH. We've never had the defending champion lead on night 1 of the following season. He's leading on night 1. His teammate is up into 5th and is on course to be 2nd in the championship. The McLarens are looking strong favourites to be the Constructors' champions, and one of them being the Drivers' champion. Chris Johnson, early dark horse shout here this season. Is Alistair close enough now to Daniel? Daniel's causing a real problem for Alistair here. Alistair losing a lot of time as it is, and that dirty, turbulent air is just costing him more. That's putting Jess in glimpsing touch of being able to pass. Chris Johnson as well is so close. Jordan in 6th had a sneaky good race. Jordan, he's up a few places and is in 6th place. Scottish Goat is in 7th, and he's got Jenga Boy and Lewis Craig for company. Baza, Tony and James not too far behind as well. Six seconds that gap to CJH has crawled up to. And if Alistair isn't careful, the tyres aren't going to matter at the end. CJH is going to win this race if he can't get past. Daniel obviously has to stop soon. Casper served his drive-through as well in the last lap. It was the last available opportunity. Here comes Alistair now. We're on board with a Merc. Not enough. Looks like Jenga Boy's gotten past Scottish Goat. He has. Chris Johnson has just passed Jess Ball, has he? Yes, he has. Around the final corner. Chris is ahead of Jess, and is this sneaky pace. We've seen the pace in Spain. It wasn't much to offer in Suzuka. But here at Spa, Chris is on for another podium again here, and a dark horse. He's mounting a challenge to his teammate as best he can. He's the only one at the moment doing that. Here comes Alistair for P2 on the road. Finally gets back ahead of Daniel P. Whelan at 6.7 adrift of CJH. With 5 laps to go. Might be too much of an ask now for Alistair. He might have lost too much time. He'll need some incredible laps in the second half of his second stint to be able to close that gap. Chris now, P3 is yours. You're on the podium. Can you get ahead of Daniel? Can you mount a challenge to Alistair? You're already a second adrift now that Daniel's lost touch with Alistair. Daniel will have no DRS, so if he doesn't come in, will be a sitting duck. Is Daniel holding out for some rain? We were told mixed conditions. We've not really spoken about it since the race began. Is that what Daniel's holding out for? A switch to inters, and he'll be up in P2. Safety car obviously helping him with that. Chris now, 4 attempts behind. Jess a bit further behind. Jordan is a lot closer to Jess than Jess is to Chris. Is there going to be enough tarmac to make the move, though, for Jordan at this part of the track? Chris did it on lap 10. Can Jordan do it on lap... Oh, he's locked up and almost gone into the side of the Red Bull contracted driver. Red Bull manages to peel away. Jordan, it just looked like he locked up late, and it was going to be a sinking ship just straight into the side of the Red Bull, but he managed to avoid it. Jenga Boy up in 7th, Scottish Goat 8th, Lewis Craig 9th. He's trying to pick up places, Lewis, but it's just a struggle fest. Here we go. Chris now to take the podium on the road and to make it a McLaren 1-3 after a McLaren 1-2 in Spain. And it is a wonderful drive from Chris Johnson. Jess Ball now getting passed by Jordan into turn 5. Jess going to try come back, but she leaves herself vulnerable because there's Jenga Boy trying to make the move. She left herself very vulnerable there, Jess, and she just managed to hang on to the position. Lewis Craig managed to get ahead of Scottish Goat. We just missed the end of that. He's up into 8th now. Can he get himself in this picture for P4? He's not actually doing too bad, Lewis, considering the lap 1 accident. But if he gets ahead of Jess, then he's beating Jess and Darky, which is who he's level on points with. His teammates got to stop, and yeah, it wouldn't be too bad on it if he can get past a couple of drivers. Alistair's clawed 7/10 of a second, but getting stuck behind Daniel P. Whelan, that has cost him any opportunity at winning the race here. It looks like it's only going to be second for him. And there's Jordan now on Daniel P. Whelan, and I think if you're Daniel, surely now you call it a day on those tyres. Jess has been passed by Jenga Boy. We're on board with the Aston of Lewis. Can Lewis sneak ahead? He moves up to 7th as his teammate boxes. And well, so close between 4th and 8th place. Even 4th and 10th place. But now it's all about this. Jenga Boy on Jordan. 4th place up for grabs here. Not close enough indeed. And well, Lewis Craig's actually under pressure. He might be getting overtaken again by Scottish Goat here. To make matters worse for Lewis, not enough road. 2 Scotsmen. 2 of 3 in the league this season. Alistair Payne joins them. All represented Team Europe last night. It was not the best performance for Team Europe against Brazil, but they'll have to bounce back next week. Oh, CJH has a penalty. 3-second time penalty for CJH with 3 laps to go. Is that lack of discipline there, being so far out ahead, cost him the opportunity at the win here? He's 5 seconds ahead of Alistair. Well, Alistair, can you find 2 seconds in 2.5 laps? You can go win the race here, Alistair. It's all or nothing for him now. Chris Johnson stays in 3rd for the time being. But they've got Jenga Boy for company. The penultimate lap of the Grand Prix has begun. And if Chris can stay on the podium here, it'll be a fantastic drive from Chris. Massive, massive ask though. With that Williams so close to the rear wing, the engine cover of his McLaren. We're watching from the rear view. And it looks like Jordan is going to get past. And it looks like Jenga Boy gets past too. So Chris drops 2 places on the straight, 3rd and 4th. 3rd now Jordan, 4th now Jenga Boy. Can Chris stick with them and do what they did to him back to them on the next lap, on the final lap? Lewis Craig now needs a move ASAP on Jess Games, or he's going to lose a couple of points to her. The cars close together, but it's gone a bit stale over the last few laps. Just not much action happening. A bit of field spread now towards the back and up front, and we have this midfield battle that's exciting and tense, but there doesn't seem to be anyone ready to make a move. And well, Jenga Boy is close. Not as close as Lewis is to Jess, but Lewis isn't able to make the move. Jenga Boy pushing and pushing Jordan through this sector. He's so close to the back of him. And Alistair Bain now on the final lap has got it. Under 4 seconds now. He needs 9 tenths on this final lap to win this Grand Prix. It looked like it got away from him and maybe been stuck behind Daniel for that lap longer than he really wanted to be, as Jordan is passed now by Jenga Boy for P3. Is that a podium after starting 17th place with a qualifying ban? Jenga Boy could be on the podium here at Spa. What a drive. But it's all about Alistair and CJ. CJ's tyres are gone. It's 3.3. The gap's coming down. That time penalty might just cost CJ the win at Spa. He's going to win it on the road, but is he going to go down in history as the race winner on the statistics? Will it be a fifth race win for CJH87? We're going to find out in about 35 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. It's 3 seconds. It's under 3. He's going to lose it. As things stand, it's swinging to Scotland against the English driver. McLaren versus Mercedes. Alistair needs this. He's already 34 points behind. The 7-point swing in his favour will be massive. Around the final corner here at Spa, CJH will win on the road. Is it enough for the win, though, on the books? No, Alistair wins the Belgium Grand Prix. CJH in second. Jenga Boy, after starting 17th place, comes home on the podium. Jordan in fourth. Chris fifth. Fantastic. With Jess in sixth. Lewis Craig seventh. Scottish Goat in 8th with Tony in ninth. Baza in 10th with Gamer James coming round for 11th place. It is Acorn in 12th with a penalty that might allow Kaya ahead of him. It does. Acorn in 13th. Danny Pubielnak comes home in 14th and reverse grid pole. And the two kicks, when they get round, Ivan Tonzik, 15th place for him. Casper had the incident on lap 1. Had the drive through, is going to come home in 16th, and he's coming into the pits to retire. The car doesn't want to do the last lap. The victory lap. Novel Darky, your only non-finisher, in 17th place after his crash that caused the safety car. Unlucky for CJ, the lack of discipline caught him out in the end. It was too comfortable for him. And picked up the 3 seconds. And Alistair Bain picked up the win. On the top step of the podium once more for Alistair. Puts him closer to Jermaine Greenbean for the most wins all time. That puts him joint second with Lewis Craig on 8 dive bomb wins. So congratulations to Alistair. And that Darky's pole position puts him on 14. That's 4 ahead now of Alistair, who's on 10. What a Grand Prix. It was exciting and thrilling, good to watch. The safety car spiced it up a bit, and CJH almost had it, and he was on course for a fantastic start to his defence. But first and second in his last 2 races, nothing to be too ashamed about. Chris Johnson as well with a 5th place. He'll be happy with that. We have got COTA coming up in 5 minutes, so I will see you then for reverse grid. The top 14 will be reversed. Daniel Pubielnak on pole. We'll see you in a few moments. So we're back, and we're about to get racing here in Austin, Texas for COTA. Round 4 of the season. CJH has a healthy championship lead at the moment. His closest rival, Jenga Boy, lost 8 points there, but Jenga Boy, third place after starting 17th. Fantastic drive from him. Alistair Bain now closes the gap as well by 7 points. He's on 25 after picking up his 8th race win of his DBF1 career. And now reverse grid format for Austin. So the top 14 all finished, so they're reversed. So Daniel Pibiona is on pole, followed by Acorn 95 in second. So interesting to see Daniel Pibiona, obviously one race win in his time. Obviously the season 5 championship runner-up when Wace was crowned champion. And we'll have to see, can one of them two hang on and win the race? Looks okay conditions. A little bit of sun creeping through the clouds at the top of the hill at turn 1. And hopefully we don't have any Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri disasters like we did in Austin in 2025. The drivers will have a few seconds to get ready. They have to pick their strategies. Always remember to put your setup on. There's no restarts. So if there is an issue with your setup and you don't stick it on, that is your own problem and you've got to deal with it for the remainder of the 14 laps. No safety cars. Softs will be difficult, but you'd imagine as Alistair's joined this session, and have we had a bit of a bug, or are we just waiting for the grid? I think Alistair's okay. Yeah, I think we're just waiting for the green light from Baza to go. That's all we're waiting for. We got plenty of action to come though. And we are about to go racing in about 25 seconds once we get the timer up on the screen. We've had the go ahead from Baza. I wonder if we're just going to be put on the grid with the lights on. We'll be ready to go if that is the case. Medium soft, soft medium, probably the strategy going to be used by most of the drivers. We are on the grid here. It's Daniel Pibiona and Acorn on the front row of the grid. Away we go for the American Grand Prix. Daniel Pibiona got away well. Acorn trying to mount a challenge up the hill, but he's bogged down and is fighting James and Baza as Kaya trying to make the move up into second place on the soft compounded tyre. And he is. He's ahead of Acorn. It's Daniel Pibiona who leads. Kaya in second place. Acorn in third, Scottish Goat fourth, Gamer James fifth, Tony sixth, Baza seventh, Jess in eighth, Darky and Lewis Craig scrapping away for eighth, ninth, and 10th with Jenga Boy in there as well. CJH, Casper, Chris Jordan, and Ivan round out the rest of the field. All the quick drivers at the back, all the action happening further forward though, as Darky is ahead of Baza now. Can he get ahead of Tony? Not quite. Oh, maybe a bit of wing damage there for the Haas. And I think Alistair's disconnected. Oh, Alistair didn't get in the race. I thought Alistair would have got in. That's unfortunate for him, especially after picking up the win. He should have been in the lobby. I didn't realise he had disconnected from the lobby. So we're down to 16. Chris and Casper battling away as Darky and Baza are battling away. They're love tapping crazy up for 7th place, and it is now the Ferrari that gets ahead. Can he get past his teammate in Tony? 6th and 7th for the Ferraris at the moment, the highest two teams. Tony runs a bit wide, and then Kaya might be in trouble there as he looks to get passed by Acorn. Kaya's managed to stay ahead. But into turn 1, you'd imagine Acorn will get the move done. He goes very deep. Can Kaya on the softs use the traction of the Williams to his advantage? He gets side by side, but Acorn places the car beautifully. Scottish Goat in 4th still. James in 5th. Looks like Tony's dropped to 8th as his teammate got ahead, and Baza managed to sneak through at the same time. So it's going to be a long second part of this race now for Tony as he has damage. Did he pick that up on his teammate? That would be rather unfortunate for the pair. Jess Ball in 9th. Lewis Craig is all the way down the order. I think he's stopped. As Casper looking to make a move on CJH now for 11th place. Jess and Tony swapping places, and it looks like Kai has been passed by Scottish Goat. James's turn now on Kaya, just dropping down the order as Kaya. Is Darky going to try sneak it up the inside at the same time? Of both of them, maybe. He definitely gets ahead of Kaya. Not quite ahead of James. Darky on for a good result here. If he can keep it going, it looks like Casper and CGH are battling away still, and Casper's come out on top. Lewis Craig has stopped. Whether that was forced or it's an early stop strategy-wise to get ahead of everyone else, we'll have to wait and see. Long time to go on the hards, though, you'd imagine, for Lewis. You'd like to think that was forced. Here comes Darky, though, on Gamer James, up into 4th place. And is now mounting a challenge for the podium places. Daniel Pugliona got the pace to win races, we know that. On the podium a lot, on pole a few times, runner-up in the Drivers' Championship more than once. Kaya and Baza battling away here, but it's Baza that's remaining in the lead. Jess is trying to be the next one to pass. He needs to, Daniel Pugliona, we'll go back to speaking about him, he needs to use this advantage while he has it. He's got Scottish Goat and Acorn in between him and Darky. Darky close now to the back. It looks like Jess and Jenga Boy sneak ahead of Kaya. Up into 8th and 9th. Scottish Goat, is past Acorn. That was a bit of a surprising one there. It didn't look close enough to make the move, but did get ahead. Jess is past Baza. Jenga Boy not finding it as easy to pass the Welshman. He's stuck behind for the moment. Oh, and Jenga Boy's caught Kaya. Hopefully no damage for Jenga Boy there. Casper's battling Tony, who's got a penalty. And CJH and Chris are battling away as well. The teammates fighting away. And well, Chris, at the moment, you'd say go for it because you're fighting for the championship at the moment. Technically, Chris is the closest challenger to winning the championship, or one of the pair closest. Gaps up the top starting to form. Lewis has picked up a free second, and with no safety car, this might be the race where Lewis retires in the pits. Jenga Boy up the inside. That's going to be a cutting in the corner warning, and that allows him to get ahead of Baza, and that will allow Casper around the outside of Baza. That's a lovely, lovely move from Casper Klein. And now he's got to mount a challenge as Lewis Craig's picked the 10-second time penalty and retires from the session. That was to be expected. Not a great night for him. He was not his own fault really as well. He'll be disappointed and he'll just have to get the head down for next week. CGH and Tony swap places for 10th. Here comes Darky though, closing the gap to Acorn for the final step on the podium. Not quite enough as Jess gets past James. Casper, car intact. Jenga Boy is wounded. And when they're both at full strength, you'd probably fancy Casper. With a wounded Jenga Boy, you'd pretty much give it to Casper all day. Darky, 3 attempts now. Just climb back up to about 5 as we come round the final corner. Has the DRS advantage, but Acorn has that advantage too. And this is the DRS train that is forming that might not allow Darky to make this move as easy as he would like. He needs Deck to fall without a second to not give him the DRS. Jenga Boy now ahead of Scottish Gamer James, and that means Casper needs to make the move on James here too. And he does CGH a bit adrift of those. Ninth place for CJ. CJ had the advantage last week of finishing 8th in the first race, so he was higher up the order. This week, finishing 2nd, so he's in 13th place. It's a lot harder to get through than previous seasons to get through this midfield. The midfield is really good this year. And with Darky finding it fairly easy after starting at the back, managed to avoid all the drama. Jess Games, she's found it pretty easy. So is Jenga Boy. Casper, you'd expect to get through. But CJ, Jordan, Lewis, not finding it easy. This is the second week in a row Lewis has not found it easy to get through the pack when he's fighting the quick drivers while the traffic's in the way. CJH ahead of James now that the split of the field is starting to happen. And CJH is surely ahead of James, or James yielded the place, which was a smart thing to do from James. He dropped a few places, but still on for some solid points. 1.5 ahead of Baza now. And Daniel Piriona's in. Those softs have gone 6 laps. Surely mediums to the end now for the Aston driver. Yep, only won one Grand Prix in his dive bomb career. That was at Imola last season. Can he make it 2 wins and win here at the Circuit of the Americas? So Scottish Goat leads the way. It's been a while since we've said that. He is your race leader on the road at the moment, with Acorn just under a half a second behind him, with Darky, who has a penalty as well. With Casper Klein up there, looks like Jess has boxed as well, as Casper gets past Darky. I think Darky had a moment, or he just let Casper pass maybe. And this is for the lead of the race on the road. Darky versus, Scottish Goat versus Acorn. And Scottish Goat hangs on for now, and Darky, can he close back up? Not quite. So quickly took a stop. I think CJH and Jess Ball have stopped along with Chris. Yeah, so everyone outside the top 8 has boxed. Jenga Boy, Baza, CJH, Jess Ball, and Daniel Pui on it. Jordan and Chris not stopped. You'd imagine Chris wouldn't have had first pick with the McLarens, and he's going to have to come into the pits on this lap, you'd imagine, as Acorn has passed for the lead, but that is because Scottish Goat's in. Darky is picked up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane or cutting the corner, and he's retired from the session there. Not good for Darky, especially it's 2 good starts, and they've ended up in 2 retirements. And after a good week last week, we're back to season 6 Darky, which is not what we want to see. We want him back. Acorn leads the way then on the mediums, going to lap 8. We'll have a quicker rubber at the end of at the beginning of the next stint, but he will fade away towards the end. And then he's got a hungry Finnish driver that's looking to make it 6 wins from 8. Be the first night in his DBF1 career where Casper doesn't pick up a win. And well, the reverse grid, you could say, makes it difficult, but he didn't pick it up in normal qualifying. Didn't get pole, only third. Had a bit of drama, had the penalty. Tony now on Gamer James for third place. Chris Johnson in the background also. Jenga Boy has passed Jordan there on the back straight before turn 12. Jenga Boy picking up good places even with the damage. Not the race he would have liked. And now we've got Casper within 1 second of Acorn. Is Casper on the mediums as well? Yes, he's on. Daniel Pibillon has picked up a 3-second time penalty as Casper goes down the inside, but that allows Acorn back around the switcheroo on Casper. Not often you see Casper get outwitted like that, and Acorn showing his experience. Might not have the pace of Casper, but when he's there, he's got the wits about him to keep the position, and Acorn did just that. Doesn't want to lose too much time though when both have to box. And well, if he loses touch with Casper now, he might be in danger. And Casper down the inside there should have DRS, will Casper, yep, and the slipstream should allow him to get past. Jess Games has just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, down in 8th place. And there we go. Acorn did all he could, but that allows Casper into the lead of the Grand Prix. The 4th race leader we've had of this race. With 6 and a bit laps to go. Anyone's ball game. Daniel Pimilna had it in his hands. He's picked up a penalty like CJ did. And now Scottish Goats within a net race win. Jess Games has got the opportunity for a race win as well. CJH not that far behind either. Scottish Goat though, someone we've mentioned that could win a Grand Prix. Casper in, Acorn in. Yeah, it's Scottish Goat, someone we've mentioned in the past that could win a dive bomb race. And it might be on the rare occasion, but he's got good pace. He had that first season in Alpine. Was quick, but not incredibly quick. Picked up massively after getting a promotion to Ferrari. He dropped to Haas because he wanted to work with Baza, and that's fair enough. Baza, one of the long-time serving members of the league, he wanted to be Baza's teammate. And that meant that he had to go to Haas from Ferrari. So Tony went from Ferrari to Haas. It could be on for his first race win of his entire career. I don't even think this would be his first win of his dive bomb career. I think this would honestly be his first league racing victory, if I'm not mistaken. He'll correct me if I'm wrong later on in the night. Just has to stop Jess now. Got the dive bomb win in Las Vegas last season. Only female TGP2 drivers champion that we had on Dive Bomb TV on F1 24. The performances haven't translated to DBF1 regularly. She's been consistent, but not quite as consistent as her TGP2 season. A podium for her here, though, would be fantastic. I believe that would make it 2 podiums from 2. No, sorry. Red Bull, Acorn was on the podium in 3rd. So it'd be 2 from 2 for Red Bull. And Acorn's not one to slouch about because Casper's on a mission here. 5 laps to go, sorry, 5. He's got around about 5 seconds to catch Daniel. Could easily win this still, Casper. And Acorn is not far behind him, so he could be on for still a fantastic result. CGH. Fantastic first race by the penalty meant Alistair won. Got a penalty here, but it shouldn't affect him too much as he's around about 6.5 seconds up the road. But just one of those things, CG will be not happy with 6 by his standards. And now Jess in the DRS of Scottish Goat, but in the clutches of Casper. And it could be sooner rather than later for these two. And Casper could be on for a race win. To put me wrong in saying that it would be the first time he doesn't win a race. So Daniel begins lap 11 then. In the Aston, it's a 2.8 advantage. He is extending his legs. And could be on course for the victory. But Casper down the inside of both Jess and Scottish Goat. Scottish Goat has to go wide. And that allows Jess up the inside. And he's lost 2 places in one corner. Casper now going to try and close that gap. And well, you'd imagine It being Casper's favourite, Scottish Goat picks up a 3-second time penalty right there. Oh, devastated for him. Something Red Bull have to watch out for is Deck leads Jess in the championship. Obviously, Jess is the contracted Red Bull driver. Jess, out of the two, would probably be the favourite to go for the title if one of them were. But Deck leads the way, and he's quick. He's catching Scottish Goat. If he gets ahead, there might be some discussions on that Red Bull pit wall onto what to do. Red Bull, in the past, in Dive Bomb, have been the team to do the synchronised swimming. And maybe Jess is going to get a radio message soon about Multi-21 and swapping the Red Bull cars round. Obviously not at the moment, but the time might come for that, where Acorn gets ahead or wants to mount a challenge, considering he'll be on the quicker rubber. Early in the season for that, right enough, but it's happened in Dive Bomb in the past. Casper sets the fastest lap. He is quite nicely dragging Jess along, and he has been for the last few laps, but it might be now she's out of the second that she's going to start struggling. And it's just come down and down. It's down to 1 second, that gap between him and Daniel. And Daniel's win, it's probably in danger regardless of the penalty or not, but he's done fantastically well, Daniel. And you probably say if Casper wasn't reserving tonight, he probably wins this race. Jess obviously is very close, so she probably would have won with a penalty, but he had every intention of winning this race, Daniel, and it's just slipped away with the time penalty and with 2.5 to go. It might have creeped away from him anyway in the end. And that is Acorn past Scottish Goat now, up into 4th place. 2.5 behind his teammate CJH in 6th, battling away with the time penalty between him and Scottish Goat. So this is for position. Can the defending champion get ahead of Scottish Goat and pick up 2 extra championship points? Trying his best as the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix has begun. And there we go, CJH ahead now of Scottish Goat. 2 more championship points coming his way, and this is what champions do. When you have a poor race and you're struggling and stuff doesn't go your way, you keep going to the end, you pick up as many points as possible. And then get to your bed. Casper not closing that gap a lot now. He was massively closing up the gap to the driver, but now he's ahead. Not closing really on Daniel. I seen there at the top as well, CJH picked up another time penalty, so that's probably going to drop him behind Scottish Goat again, regardless of what happens, as I know Scottish Goat's only got one. Acorn, sorry, and CJH have swapped places. Soft seems to have worn out for Deck, and Jordan's past Baza. Is Chris going to pass Tony late on the brakes? Decided not to. Daniel doing okay on the ERS deployment. He's not got as much as Casper, but it's not too shabby at the moment. Casper is going and going and going. It's only 1 second, using no overtake at the moment and harvesting through turn 1. Overtake down the hill, and it's just about a second. Nothing to shout or scream about, but he's close enough for the win at the time being. And you'd imagine if Daniel didn't have that penalty, he'd be pushing a bit harder. Jenga Boy in a bit of a race of his own world. 6 seconds is the car ahead, 2.5 behind. Scottish Goat now gets another penalty, which makes CJH's second penalty invalid. Oh, what? The pair of them don't want to finish ahead of each other. They want the other one to. Got a bit of field spread now, massive field spread. The closest battle is Acorn and CJ, but it's pretty much nothing going to happen as CJ has 6 seconds worth of penalties and Deck doesn't have any. So Deck, barring any craziness happening, is going to finish P4. So a P3 and a P4 for Red Bull. Fantastic result for them if they can get the job done. As Daniel crosses the line in the lead. Oh, Jess picked up the win though. I believe Casper slowed down. So Jess wins in Austin. Looked like Casper slowed down to pick up second. Daniel Pirilna will come home in third. He's going to come home third regardless anyway. Acorn in fourth with CGH in fifth. Jenga Boy came home in sixth. Scottish Goat eighth. Jordan eighth. Sorry, Scottish Goat seventh. Jordan eighth. Baza ninth. Chris Johnson came home 10th. James in 11th. Tony dropped to 12th due to penalties. Kaya will come home and finish 13th when he gets round. Darky, Ivan and Lewis didn't finish. But it's Jessica Ball that wins in Austin, Texas. Massive thank you. We'll obviously have to go to Casper on the assist. Daniel would have won on the road without his penalty. Gutted for Daniel Pirilna on the podium once again, though, after a poor week last week. But Jessica Ball wins her second ever DBF1 race. Congratulations to her, especially in the reverse grid format. And well, 4 Grand Prix, 4 race winners. This is Dive Bomb F1. We've never had the same champion, and it's always entertaining to watch. CJH won the opening round. Sorry, Jenga Boy won the opening round. CJH won round 2. Alistair Bain round 3. Jess Games wins round 4. And what a season we're going to have. If we've got 8 more weeks of this to come, who is going to be champion? The reverse grid has spiced it up massively. We've got plenty of action to come. We will get a quick rundown of what the next track is going to be for next week. Obviously, the second race will be the mystery race, but the track that is prefixed for next week is Miami. So we got Miami next week. Another American race. So we'll see you for Miami. And we will see you all next week. Goodbye.